Welcome back, everyone. I'm Chelsea Myers, and today we're going to look at kind of an overview of organizational culture and talk about some of the things that I coach on and go deeper on in other videos and trainings. And I want to invite you to, as you're listening, identify where you and your leadership team shine and also acknowledge where your areas of opportunity are to really level up your approach. Now, if you've been in business or in leadership for a while now, two things have probably become clear. One is that culture is really important. And two is that it isn't something that develops or sustains without continuous effort. Culture is a huge part of what we do at Dental Life Coach, and we're really good at what we do. And one of the first things I tell new clients is that when we're talking about organizational culture or psychological safety or leadership development, we've got to, in some ways, detach from traditional learning track thinking and really open ourselves up to a more abstract way of both observing and interacting. Said differently, we've got to open ourselves up to going really deep on certain topics and exploring, revisiting again, areas that we or our leadership team members are struggling with, and really invest in the paradigm shifts that are necessary to create long-term cultural success. I'm never going to hand someone a checklist and tell them that once they've done each thing on the list, that they're all set and their company atmosphere is going to skyrocket. The tools we teach are effective and they're impactful. And just like any other area you've already excelled in, leading a healthy organizational culture requires time and consistent intentional effort. You've got to keep putting in the reps, keep taking data on your progress, and apply extra investment in the areas that continue to require improvement. Now, cultivating a positive dental organizational culture and designing environments for success are the ultimate goal. We want to attract the type of people that we want in our organizations, and we want our offering to be so appealing that they not only want to be a part of it, but they want to stay. It is astonishing the number of doctors and executives that I've worked with who were very comfortable accepting what to them was just a temporary position. It's not laid out that way by them or the employer, but that's the employee's end of the deal. They're going to ride the tide for as long as it suits them while looking for other opportunities simultaneously, and they're uninvested in the long-term game. That's probably not news to you, but what may be headline worthy is how easy it actually can be to encourage a shift in that mentality, assuming you've got the right person in front of you. But it's got to be worth it to them. Candidly, when doctors and executives leave, it's expensive on an organization. It shakes up the flow and sometimes the morale, the expense of patients and team members who end up leaving with them. There are things left undone, sometimes for really long times. Disorganization sets in. There's the cost of finding a temp, the cost of finding the new hire, the cost of onboarding, and the list goes on and on. In our dynamic world of dental organization management, creating a thriving organizational culture is not just a lofty goal, it's a strategic imperative. A positive work culture attracts and retains top talent, ultimately shaping the experiences of everyone, team members and patients alike. As leaders in the dental field, it's our responsibility to consciously design and nurture environments that foster growth, collaboration, and employee satisfaction. Now, people are driven to repeat experiences that they want to have, and there are a lot of action drivers, which is why it's key to know our people. Understanding the human desire to repeat positive experiences, which by the way is subjective, what's positive to me might be repelling to you. But this is the cornerstone of building a successful organizational culture. Our task is to identify the type of environment that we want to create and then attract the right people. That type of strategic approach ensures that the right individuals in the right environment are more likely to stay and contribute to the long-term success of the organization. If you take only one thing away from this conversation, please make it this: our team members are our customers. Recognizing our team members as internal customers is a paradigm shift that places emphasis on them and how they feel and what they want. Ambiguity about culture and the culture that we're building is detrimental not just to us, but also to our team and our patients and even broader social connections. Disharmony within the organizational culture has a ripple effect, impacting everyone associated with the dental organization. Being conscious in our conduct and decision-making is crucial. The kind of culture that we nurture plays a pivotal role in shaping the work experience for team members and consequently the quality of service provided to our patients. Now, let's take a closer look at nurturing uplifting experiences because there really are so many things that we overlook that can be golden nuggets in our building processes. For example, how do people feel when they're working on a challenge in your organization? Do they feel creative and brave, curious and enlightened, supported and agile? Or do they feel anxious and worried, overwhelmed, scrutinized, or punished? Now, this next one you may need to dig a little deeper to gain an understanding of, but it's worth it. How do people reflect on their week? Like when they're talking and thinking about you and their work, what are they saying? Are they filled with hope and encouragement, or are they suffering with a lack of fulfillment and dread? One thing that's a constant in our industry is change. Everything from tech and best practices to consolidations and exits. And I teach a whole course on change management, and I'm often hired to fractionally support organizations going through big changes. And this conversation isn't the place to adequately cover all that's entailed in successfully executing a change strategy, but there are some things to consider as they pertain to interactions involving change that contribute to our team members' perceptions. The first is notification of the change. How is that happening and is it landing well? Second is the speed and pace of the change, the organizational phases involved, clarity about what's happening and when, the direction on who the support team members are going to be throughout the change, and an in-depth understanding of what the change means for each person, team, and the organization. And these are just some of the things we need to think through. But remember, when things are ambiguous, people fill in the blanks with their own assumptions, which oftentimes can be more disastrous than just informing them of an unpleasant or displeasing truth. Now, I mentioned communication in relation to change, but communication is another topic that's really broad and really deep with many, many consequences when not handled appropriately. Let me know in the comments how you approach communicating with your team of high performers and what you've learned lands best, particularly when it comes to talking to people who have a lot of high priority irons in the fire. I really want to know. Now, again, a topic that warrants its own training, but I'll summarize here, are interviews. Interviews really set the stage for both you and prospective employees. So things we want to think through are they organized and collaborative? Are they conducted by someone who wants to interview and is best suited to make decisions that impact our culture? Are they someone who is invested in our culture, or are they disorganized, sporadic, last minute, and transactional? Now, one of my favorite topics when it comes to building a culture or enhancing our cultural atmosphere are obstacles and challenges. They're actually some of my favorite playground for team building and cultural refinement. And part of that's because oftentimes when I'm brought into an organization, there's some level of breakdown already occurring that they're needing support on. So I'm really used to this type of environment. And the other reason is that challenges offer both individuals and teams the opportunity to stretch themselves in ways that they might otherwise not have, at least not right then. If something is easy and comfortable, it wouldn't be classified as an obstacle. So if there's a challenge identified, it means that at least one person on the team has an area of growth opportunity and that the organization has conveniently opened up an educational experience for them to grow in. How are obstacles and challenges for your teams? Are they team building? Are they connecting? Are they competitive? Are they supportive? Are they judgmental? Are they initiated with gusto, or are they forced with resistance? The essence of this conversation is the importance of clarity on cultural objectives. And really, there's no one-size-fits-all answer to the question of work preference, but being crystal clear about what we want is important. When I began writing this content, a client of mine came to mind who, when we began working together, initially said that he envisioned a bubbly and casual atmosphere and began hiring for a couple of vacancies with team members who had that bubbly and casual personality type. Over time, however, he found that he was feeling disconnected and dissatisfied with his work environment. So I started asking him some questions about what was important to him, his values, and his vision for his organization. And he said ultimately, he realized he just wanted people to feel comfortable and settled. He wanted his work atmosphere to be calming and pleasant. And so we shifted our focus from this bubbly casual to defining what comfortable and settled looked like for him. And he began hiring people who he could authentically connect with, people who he felt at ease with, who he felt were going to contribute to a positive environment without being so bubbly or so casual that he felt outside of the group. The lesson here isn't to hire replicas of ourselves, but to align our cultural objectives with our overarching goals. In other words, know what we're building, and with crystal clarity on that knowledge, we can make decisions. After all, the culture that we're building has everything to do with our values. And our values are ingrained in all of our decisions. They impact who we hire, they impact how we evaluate, they impact how we move forward, and they impact who we fire. Similarly, our employees, who, remember, are our customers, are choosing us based on their values. They're assessing us based on their values, and they're leaving us based on their values. So the more clear we can be at the beginning in defining our culture as it applies to what we're trying to build and aligning it with our values, the better we can attract the people who will want to be with us long term. The type of culture we cultivate is not only pivotal for the present, but it'll also influence the trajectory of our practice and organization as they grow. Whether they're thriving or unpredictable, the culture will magnify with business expansion. So investing in a positive culture isn't just beneficial, it's a cost-effective necessity for the long-term success in dental organization management. The work we're doing here is important. It's impactful, and it has the ability to shape the experiences of tons of people within our personal and professional ecosystems. It can be complicated and dynamic, and it can also be rich and rewarding. Professional coaching has changed the trajectory of my life professionally, financially, and even personally. And I highly recommend that if you're not already investing in coaching for yourself and your team, that you research the resources available and consider what would be best to prepare you and your teams for growth. Until next time, I'm cheering you on, and I'm here to support.